If you don't want to be depressed, you need to focus the future and ask yourself, what do I want for myself? As a man, do I want to be lonely, miserable, or do I want to be proactive and successful? A lot of men are unable to deal with today's stress because they aren't prepared, nor are they preparing themselves for what is to come. You might ask, what should they be preparing themselves for? They should be preparing themselves for life to lead, life to function in their respective roles, life to be a father, to be a leader, to be an agent of change. This episode is brought to you by my online course, Unravel Your Uniqueness. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You are listening to the Major Pane Podcast, the only podcast crafted to guide men like you on unraveling your uniqueness to transform the world around you. If you are a lady joining us, feel comfortable. Listen as we hope women learn how to build better men through the golden nuggets we will be sharing and learning. Follow this podcast wherever you are listening. Kindly like, subscribe if you are watching this on YouTube. Come on, leave us a rating. That is, if it's on the platform you are listening to this podcast. Man, we need to talk, man, for real. We need to have that vibrant conversation that a lot of us are finding it very difficult to address. That is male depression. I see you working hard to meet some needs. I see you staying strong to be the pillar in your family. I see you being productive to keep your job, your career afloat. I see you trying to give back to the community one way or the other. If you are doing this, kudos to you. If you aren't, it's still okay. Come on, for real. It's still okay. That's why the Major Pane Podcast is here to gift you practical theories, tools, and help you lead your life, your relationship, your career to become a unique man. No doubt you might feel this deep pressure as a man pressing you hardcore to the bottom of some issues, and you feel like giving up. You avoid every conversation that brings out the vulnerable part of you. Come on, stop doing yourself a disservice. Life is getting harder because a lot of men are becoming weaker in thinking. They are vulnerable in making decisions that affects the collective. And as a man, you are either passively or actively building or breaking society. Which one are you doing? Do you know? We didn't just wake up to realize that men are weak today. Something needed to happen for this weakness to become attractive, entertained, sustained, and promoted. What could be an example of weakness? Isolation is a weakness I can't help but speak about. I don't think there's ever been a time when men are more isolated, that's tied to their gadget and video games, playing their life away. I don't think there's ever been a time like this until now, 2022. Escaping to the wrong places, as Joel Witten has said in our session when he was speaking about men's mental health. If you haven't watched that episode, kindly watch it. It will bless your life. Yes, you might feel included in that playroom of that video game or say the metaverse, but the moment you unplug, what else is there to live for? What else is there to make you feel excited to wake up? What else is there to make your heart beat? That is when you are not around those gadgets or recreational drugs. But I love being alone. I know not everyone has that outgoing personality, but you would agree with me that if your goal is to make an impact while staying at the back scenes, you are either going to be working on yourself or you would simply just be influencing someone else's dream while you are at the back scene. Men are designed to be lone wolves. I'm not saying you can't have your own space, but you need to have that tribe, that bro, that mentor that pours wisdom into you. It would help if you have that connection that washes away every negative thinking and replaces it with a proactive mindset that causes you to do more. These things, they don't just happen. You have to make them happen. And they simply do not happen by you just sitting around and hoping that they come to you. You go out to make it happen. If you don't want to be depressed, you need to forecast the future and ask yourself, what do I want for myself? As a man, do I want to be lonely, miserable, or do I want to be proactive and successful? A lot of men are unable to deal with today's stress because they aren't prepared, nor are they preparing themselves for what is to come. You might ask, what should they be preparing themselves for? They should be preparing themselves for life, life to lead, life to function in their respective roles, life to be a father, to be a leader, to be an agent of change. Some of the non-apparent reasons why men are depressed these days, for real, you'll be surprised what could be some of these reasons that are just kind of invisible, but it's very obvious. The first thing is not being told the truth. We usually ask this question, where are the men? Only when there is a crisis. When things are going well, we don't ask these questions. Sadly, this generation happens to be one of the most fatherless generation. And fatherless, I mean, it's not like there was a war that took away all the men. It's just that some people just happen to grow without a father, or their father just didn't happen to play the fatherly role to them. So a lot of fathers have refused to tell their children the truth about life. I remember speaking on this point, Tell Him the Truth, in the 10th episode of the Major Pane Podcast, where I talked about how women can build unique men. Because the truth is alien to many men, they commit to the sins of their fathers. That is, they repeat their father's mistakes. As a man, is there a map you are living with right now? You will be giving your children a copy of that map. You will be giving your son the map to go search for his truth. And tell me, how can a map make sense if there is no compass to aid it? Let's look at the second point, unestablished values. Every map requires a compass to navigate. If a man doesn't have values, he will fall for anything. Values are the compass of life. Many men today have no idea what is right from wrong. Not only were they not taught the truth, a lot of them didn't even seek to know the truth for themselves. I grew up in a Christian home. I was taught the Bible and introduced to the Word of God and Christianity as a whole, but it didn't end there. If I hadn't searched the Bible myself or put the things I learned to work and build that relationship with Jesus, trust me, I would just be a seat warmer in church. It wouldn't come to life. It wouldn't make any sense. I had to do my own deep search. Is this the path I want to follow? Does loving God make sense to me? Is that something I want to commit and dedicate my whole life to be? You have to do that for yourself. You have to search for your own truth. I don't know if you noticed, one question I have asked the guest speakers who come into the show, especially the men, I usually ask, what is your key principle or what values do you live your life by? I do this because I want them to share their values with you, so you get to see the need, why it is important to establish a value system for yourself. By the way, if you want to establish an unshakable value system, my online course Unravel Your Uniqueness speaks to that, alongside other incredible ways you can actively influence your society. Now, the third reason why men are depressed is no will to serve. Imagine being one of the men on D-Day, that's June 6, 1944 in World War II, on which Allied force invaded northern France through the beach landings in Normandy. Explosions and gunfire, they don't respect your safe space. Your enemy doesn't care about your identity. All they think of is, I got to serve my country. It is that drive for service that made Allied force push forward despite fallen heroes. Flash forwards to 2022, men run away from things that make them uncomfortable. Things like addressing an issue with their order at a restaurant, taking the lead in their relationship, being a proactive employee to their employers, or even as an entrepreneur, making their customer happier. Taking it further, transformational experiences like mentorship, subjecting themselves to a specific authority, that is very problematic. The idea of serving under the authority of someone with epic wisdom is non-existent these days. It is currently being replaced with an offensive tweet or a post on Instagram. hiding behind a profile with no picture because you are afraid of facing your fears. It is despicable. Everyone now has an opinion, which isn't a bad thing, but it's terrible that a lot of men can barely stand receiving advice that will lead them to their throne. They are searching for lies to comfort their ego. I mean, they haven't been faithful to themselves before now, so what do we expect? They would instead want to be served than to serve, unknowing that leadership is a humbling experience that makes leaders better servants. A man who is true to himself will look around and seek opportunities to serve, starting with those around him. In conclusion, I get it. Some of you might be listening to this for the very first time and it might hurt. The truth wasn't designed to comfort you. It was designed to disrupt your senses. When you train yourself to accept the truth, you begin to identify the other truths that lead you to your throne. Becoming a unique man isn't a one-day job. It is a lifetime calling if you choose to accept. The moment you start playing your role right, the moment you kiss depression goodbye. This is another reason why I am advocating for unique masculinity. Do I have men who want to be unique? Do I have men who refuse to isolate themselves because they are weak and scared? Do I have men who want to embrace the truth and spread the truth? Do I have men who are establishing unshakable values? Do I have men who are excited to serve? Kindly drop a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you are watching this on YouTube or on my website, please send me a message either through my email or on IG. Check out the description for links to resources and my online course, Unravel Your Uniqueness. Man, we got this. I am rooting for you. Cheers.